Come with me to the most magical place on earth. No, it's not Disneyland, but it's full of wizardry, witchcraft, spells, and incantations. This is the Harry Potter Studio Tour in London, United Kingdom. So grab your wands, dust off your brooms, and let's dive into this extraordinary realm. Located just 45 minutes outside of London in a small suburban town called Watford, the Harry Potter Studio Tour is easily accessible by car or public transport. And don't worry about transportation to the Studio Tour from the station, as official buses are on hand to pick up visitors every half hour. The onboard TV screens with special welcome messages from the cast. This time, we were greeted by none other than Tom Felton. The gateway to the studios always undergoes periodic transformations. This time around, we were welcomed by rows of motion-censored, illuminated wands standing proudly next to sculptures of the Hogwarts castle. Once you pass the rigorous security checks, you will find yourself in a small hall with cloakrooms, toilets, and other facilities. You can also purchase a digital guide or an afternoon tea or lunch tour, both of which are add-ons on top of the hefty ticket price of £52 per person. I know it's a rare treat, but let me assure you that it's an absolutely stellar one. The grand entrance is a sight to behold. It is adorned with a towering dragon and a 3-story souvenir shop with poster boards and neon signs of the entire cast spread throughout. The souvenir shop is a haven for eager fans seeking their own piece of Potter memorabilia. The shop is structured in the style of Hogsmeade, and you'll find everything here, from the books to the Lost Diadem to so many sweets from Weasley's Wizard Wheezers, wands with a wand-casted session, portraits that may or may not move, glittery makeup courtesy of Luna Lovegood, and of course, butterbeer. Highly encouraged to explore every part of the souvenir shop because it's decorated so well. The souvenir shop leads us directly to the Chocolate Frog Cafe, one of the 2 cafes that are located in the grand entrance. There's a giant Marauders map gracing the walls of Chocolate Frog Cafe, whereas on the other side, we have the food hall, which is completely decked out with floating candles and amazing 3-tier trays laden with afternoon tea. Afternoon tea costs £70 per person on top of the ticket price. We settle for a beautiful snowman tart, followed with a steaming cup of hot chocolate, before making our way just round the corner to start the studio tour officially. It opens with the entrance to number 4 Privet Drive in Surrey, where the Dursleys lived. We also have the original interior of the cupboard under the stairs, which was sadly Harry's room when he lived with the Dursleys. Each detail is so meticulously preserved, it is mind-boggling. The walls right next to the cupboard and the interiors to number 4 are home to stills, timelines, as well as all Harry Potter facts from all 8 films as well as books. Visitors also get a free passport as a souvenir, which they can get stamped from every attraction that they see inside. Once we're at the front of the queue, we're asked to put our phones away because this is going to be a restricted area where filming is not allowed. That area consists of a cinema where a welcome video is displayed by Dan Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint. But just like a levitating charm, the screen is then swished up with curtains raised to the side, unveiling the entrance to the Great Hall. It is a sight to behold. It actually might look a bit smaller in comparison to the film, but my god, is it just as majestic. There are lengthy dining tables on each side, full of treats and beverages for students. The food offerings are tailored to the seasons, creating an immersive culinary adventure. For example, this was Christmas time, so the festive puddings melt every 15 minutes to reveal a hidden chocolatey concoction. The main stage periodically rotates as well, and during the holiday season, it showcases the breathtaking ice castle from the Yule Ball, transporting visitors into a complete winter wonderland. This is also the only part of the studio where allotted time slots allow visitors to stay for just 10 minutes. After that, they move on to explore the rest of the studio on their own and at their individual pace. Then move on to the architecture, art direction, and the costume department, which is home to the students' uniforms as well as everyone's costumes from the Yule Ball. All the professors, Beauxbaton, Hermione's exquisite Yule Ball dress, as well as all the jackets and the jeans that Dan Radcliffe wore throughout the film, including the hairbrush and the Vaseline that he used. They're all preserved. The art direction department is also home to millions of cauldrons, the iconic marble staircase, which does not move here, Professor Umbridge's million proclamations, the tiny alleyway that led to Aberforth's flat, and of course me playing around with the digital version of the Marauders map, which by the way led me to the Gryffindor dormitory. This is where Harry, Ron, Dean, and Seamus spent a lot of their time, so like a typical boys' dorm, it's quite disheveled. Right next to it is the Gryffindor common room, guarded by the portrait of the fat lady, looking just as cozy as always. Since the this was Christmas time. We can see the trio's Christmas outfits. Sadly, Sirius could not be seen blazing the fireplace. This is also where the 2022 HBO special Harry Potter reunion was filmed. Right next to the common room, we see the trio's dummies again, this time in their clothes that they wore in Prisoner of Azkaban, with Harry's dummy draped with his invisibility cloak. And in a magical twist, we also have the Slytherin common room with Crabbe and Goyle sat on the couch in their original outfits, with Draco standing by their side as the leader. I was then confronted with the Mirror of Erised, where I closed my eyes to conjure my happiest memories, but instead it brought me to Dumbledore's office. The Harry Potter studio tour is very cleverly divided into different sections, and each room has its own unique charm. Dumbledore's office beckons visitors with Fox the Phoenix and a grand pensive that promises to stir up some magical thoughts about thousands of memory bottles surrounding the small basin. All the walls are covered in portraits of past headmasters of Hogwarts. The props department was one of my favorites because it also gives an insight into how much work and effort went into creating each one. I did try the spell Pier Totem Locomotor on this Hogwarts guard, but sadly he did not come to life. There was the beautiful Triwizard Cup and a lot of swirling cups, hundreds and hundreds of portraits, which by the way move periodically from one portrait to another, all the Quidditch equipment, which obviously involve the uniforms as well, but we're talking about broomsticks, snitches and bulgers, and a magical flying lesson. I also peered through Mad-Eye Moody's faux glass, the Chamber of Secrets, the Whomping Willow, the Weasleys' Ford Anglia, played with one of the many interactive buttons to bring the Hogwarts castle door to life. One of the best things about the Harry Potter studio tour is how interactive it is. It truly immerses people into its entire magical world. Speaking of magical effects, Professor Lupin's trunk was also one of my favorites. By the whisk of my wand, or a motion-censored button, his trunk really came to life. Visitors can also get the chance to jump aboard Hadric's motorcycle. With a green screen in the background, they can literally put you in the motorcycle and you can get a photo. And speaking of Hagrid, with his motorcycle, we officially came to his hut. Guarded by his dog Fang and his giant dummy wearing clothes from the Goblet of Fire, we get a close look into his hut, which is situated right by the interior of the Weasley's burrow, which is another interactive experience. Motion detecting buttons bring washing up, chopping, knitting, ironing to life, and it is such a magical experience. All you have to do is just gently sway your hand in front of the motion detecting button and you're good to go. Professor Snape's potion room is another interactive experience where visitors can stir and brew magical concoctions, which is really fun. His dummy obviously stands asking people to turn to page 394. The entrance of Professor Snape automatically meant the dark arts section, which was home to every bad person in the book and the film. It opens with the long dining table with Lord Voldemort at the head of it at Malfoy Manor, surrounded with Death Eaters and Charity Burbage suspended in air with Nagini lunging towards her. It was such a well executed scene in the film, and it was so well laid out in the studio as well because this is where they filmed it. Every little detail was absolutely incredible. Black family tree tapestry that we saw at the Order of the Phoenix is also here. Of course, the inclusion of Bat People cannot exclude Professor Umbridge and her incredibly pink office with kittens swarming every plate, teacup, and poster. The Dark Arts section obviously also involves the Ministry of Magic, followed by the Magicus Might statue, which looked so enormous on screen, which by the way still is enormous in person, but not as big as it looked on screen. Death Eaters lurk along the sides of the green and black tiles. And over here, scenes from all 8 films dance before our eyes like a marathon and a repeat. However, the towering Magicus Might statue reigns supreme, paving the way to the mysterious Forbidden Forest. The forest is dark, damp, and snowy, with centaurs and mystical beings, but I made my way to say hello to Buckbeak, since it's customary to bow down to the hippogriff to say hello, and she returns the greeting. The forest started with a mix of real-life locations in studio wizardry and the Philosopher's Stone, but as the Chamber of Secrets opened, the entire set migrated to the studios. It needed to make room for Aragog's creepy lair, and it continued to expand throughout the film series. Visitors will find the Forbidden Forest forest filled with 19 majestic trees, each boasting a diameter of over 12 feet. Impressive, eh? Perhaps the most otherworldly experience for every fan is turning the corner from the forest and coming face to face with the Hogwarts Express. Parked on platform 9 3/4, the original steam engine train lets visitors board its carriages and tour the trio's infamous location. While most of the scenes at platform 9 3/4 were filmed at King's Cross Station in London, the Deathly Hallows Part 2 decided to bring a piece of the platform right to Leavesden. They recreated it on a soundstage, complete with the track and, of course, the train itself. There are photo booths opposite the train where fans are green screen into the train carriage. We also have the Honeydukes trolley with Harry and Ron's dummies going through the entire trolley by themselves, and all the items that were on trolley have been displayed right by side, which is very impressive. The final scene of the 8th film, Deathly Hallows Part 2, and the clothes that everyone wore are also on display right by Honeydukes, whereas an installment from the series continues to play on repeat right behind the original costumes. Hogwarts Express brings visitors to the middle of the tour, marked with the Backlot Cafe and another souvenir shop. I prepare to have my taste buds enchanted by the creamiest, frothiest, most heavenly concoction ever to grace a tankard, which comes as a free souvenir with the drink, by the way. When it comes to enjoying my butterbeer, I personally prefer the outdoor area on the backlot, right next to iconic outdoor sets like the exterior to the Weasley's burrow. It looks quite huge in the film, obviously, but it's quite small in real life. The Hogwarts Bridge, which is the original bridge from the films, the iconic night bus ready for a bumpy ride, and of course, last but not least, number 4, Privet Drive. Harry's Hogwarts acceptance letters zoom out of the fireplace while poor Dudley is sprawled on the floor, completely flabbergasted. Their dummies can be seen inside the house, witnessing the hilarious sight of Aunt Marge floating away like a balloon, as infamously seen in Prisoner of Azkaban. The kitchen area remains just as untidy as Harry cleaned it up in the 3rd film. Every little detail is meticulously arranged, even the patio capturing Aunt Marge's floating moment with remarkable precision. The backlot also used to be home to Tom Riddle's grave, as well as the exterior for Godric's Hollow. However, those have been now kept in a safe and have been replaced by Professor Sprout's greenhouse, a new fan favorite set. Crafted by the brilliant minds behind Harry Potter films, just like a true Hogwarts student, visitors can step right into the greenhouse and get a chance to pluck a potted mandrake as part of an interactive experience. As we bid farewell to the greenhouse and the outside area, the creative and the arts departments greet us inside again. Behind enormous glass cases, visitors catch a glimpse of body dummies, multiple mischievous heads of Dobby, where the special effects also let you dance with him alongside and he copies your every move, and many goblin heads. Speaking of goblins, on the cleverly designed diagonal floors of both departments, visitors find themselves in Gringotts. This wizarding bank is arguably the tour's most impressive sight, with its towering structure and a ceiling adorned in shimmering gold. Goblins stand tall on both sides, ready to assist as we approach Griphook to obtain our very own vault key. They are protected by none other than the legendary Sword of Gryffindor, making it a perfect spot for a memorable photo op. I always spend a good time in Gringotts, taking my time to savor every little detail. Harry's vault in particular glitters with jewelry, horcruxes, and mounds of gold coins. Did you know the prop making department created over 210,000 coins for the final 2 films alone? The real showstopper, however, is depicted right at the end in the labyrinth below. It's a fire-breathing dragon that gives guests a warm welcome to the bank. Pun intended. Since we know Gringotts is situated at the opening of Diagon Alley, it automatically brought us to the second last stop of the studio tour. In a magical twist, Diagon Alley was no stranger to change, where walls shifted, shop fronts danced around, and entire buildings played musical chairs to create the perfect street scene on screen. Diagon Alley was also redecorated to become part of Hogsmeade in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's home to the Broom Shop, the Owl Emporium, Madame Malkin's Robes Shop, Ollivanders for all the wands, and of course, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Fred and George's Magic Joke Shop. The shop itself is a true work of art designed to resemble a charming 18th century storefront. It took 3 months to create this giant 20-foot mannequin perched above the entrance. There are 120 different products in the shop, each born from the brilliant minds of concept artists. And the Puking Pastels dispenser, hilarious and gag-worthy. The tour will start coming to an end here with a maze of creativity, with lanes filled with an array of models, sketches, animations, and intricate line drawings. And speaking of the end, the tour finishes with a giant, intricately detailed 3D model of Hogwarts Castle, the jewel and the crown of the art department. Built for the first film, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the model's every courtyard, tower, and turret were filmed and enhanced with CGI to create unforgettably realistic views of Hogwarts. It lights and blinks continuously and rotates from day to night, providing a real-life feeling of how it would have looked during both hours. Fans surround its every corner for photos, as each nook of the castle is uniquely designed. I bet you don't know this, but the model took a whopping 74 years in equivalent man-hours to build, proving the dedication of the artists to their craft. The final moment of the tour is a special one amidst wand boxes where J.K. Rowling's famous words appear on a TV screen. Hogwarts will always welcome you home. These words aren't just a saying, they represent a real-life connection shared by millions of fans all over the world. The wand boxes are named after every single person who worked on the Harry Potter films, from the cast and the crew. Highly recommend this tour to everyone, and for true fans, it's like stepping into a nostalgic paradise with lots of happy tears. By this time, it was already 10 p.m, so we departed the studios, took our official shuttle back to the train station, all smiles and all happy. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to The Poor Londoner if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to tell me whether you are just as much of a Harry Potter fan. Like this video, share this video, and I promise to be back with another similar video very soon. Until then, have a nice go!